Okay, this is the Finance Committee meeting of May 16th, and we're calling the meeting to order at 4:15. The agenda, we have no visitors, so no public comment.
Attendance?
Oh, attendance, thank you. Mike Karolewicz,
Here.
Terry Barris,
Here.
and I, Alan Alexandrovich, am here, and Jennifer has joined us. That good enough?
We're good.
Was that I, Alan, or that is I dot Alan?
I, Alan Alex, comma, Alan Alexandrovich.
Okay.
Do I have to say the commas too? Okay. Approval of the minutes from the July 13th meeting. Did anybody notice anything that was incorrect? Either? We have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the July meeting.
Okay. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, it's unanimous.
Cue cards.
You can tell he doesn't run many meetings. We're going to have a review and discussion of the 2025 preliminary budget and strategies. And
There we go.
Hey. I'm gonna say you just arrived.
Good.
Oh, Doris Weber just arriving.
yes. Jennifer, point of order. She's not on the committee, so
Yeah.
is she a visitor? Okay.
Well, she's an also attendee like me.
Okay. Good. Did you have a chance to go over the budget thing that I sent out?
Yes.
Okay.
So are you going to look at the original tab or the 2025 tab? The original tab was just for reference?
Yeah.
Okay.
What I did is because I had a budget out there, I pulled that one forward, called it 2025, and went with that.
Sure.
The budget, if you're reviewing it on your computer, you see that there are several lines under the budget number, budget 2025, 26, 27, and 28, which are in blue. And these are in blue because these are numbers that are given to us by the city. We really will have little or nothing to do with that.
Can we make a good assumption on that 5% increase number? Terry and I were talking about, is that as a result of new administration where the amount of money that comes to us is going to increase by 5% every year? Because we've had years where it's been flat.
What I've got in there for wages is.
Not wages, the general property tax.
Oh, general property tax. That was a 5% increase, but I'm only increasing it 3%. I think we were under budgeted in the past on the property taxes. And that's why it went up by 5%, because the new administration looked at us and said, these guys are doing a good job. We can trust them. Anyway, that's what I hope happened. And we got the 5%. And then 3% a year if inflation, if that's what it's going to be running, hopefully we should be able to work at 3%. But if you go to the bottom of Fund 15, that 3% increase in property taxes and the wages and other increases, we're going to come up $78,000 short. So, do we ask for more than that, or are we complying with the paying down the fund balance?
Well, and paying down the fund balance will happen if we've got things that can be figured as capital, right?
Capital or library materials?
So if we're building a budget and we have that, I don't know how you take care of that in the budget where you just basically say these items are gonna come out of the fund balance and not even include them as a budget number, I'll say, above the line? So do we have to identify them as the capital outlay part in there, and then the fund balance just as a order of business? Where we say, okay, we're gonna be short this much, so when we come to these capital outlays, they're gonna have to come out of the fund balance so that we make sure at the end of the year that we end up with.
Well, I was looking at this as a starting point. We really don't put a budget together until, when, October, to submit to the city?
We'll start like in June, July, yeah. We have to have it pretty much done by the end of June.
When did you guys go to the board last year? It was early. I think you wanted to go by like July.
July, I
Actually,
think.
yeah.
It was either June or July.
I think it was shot for June, but then you didn't, because of the changeover. I think you didn't end up going until August, but like June was the original goal in your goals or something like that.
But it's midsummer.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're almost
Because the
there.
mayor starts working on his budget around the first week of August.
So he has to have
And
this.
then they present it to the common council.
Yeah, so all the departments, quote unquote, are providing input to its budget. Here's where we see our needs being and the reason behind it, which is another reason why it's really good that you show the numbers that you do, is that, okay, here's where these numbers are coming from, as opposed to just a number. It's like, well, how'd you get that? Well, see these headings with utilities and wages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're anticipating, this type of an increase. So this is why we need that. Okay.
Okay. Good question. Library reciprocal borrowing. Jennifer pointed out to me that it was, you have 59,558, which I ran across, all the way across, but I'm not sure if I didn't make that change after I
Doesn't look like
published
it.
this.
In Fund 15.
Reciprocal borrowing, you have what, the 52?
52, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jennifer pointed out that was wrong. I corrected it on I did not send it out to everybody again.
Okay.
Apologies.
Which is rather interesting, because we had heard years ago that reciprocal borrowing funds coming back to libraries was going to be on a pretty steep decline. And the
Yes.
fact that it's flat to even a little bit more is good, but you kind of wonder if, you'd like to know what the reason is for that
I think
when
I
you
can
don't have
explain
it.
it.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you remember, a couple years ago, the legislature gave the library systems a lot more money. Like, Mickless ended up getting like $2 more million than they normally would get. So they increased the amount of money they get. And the reciprocal borrowing fund is a percentage of Mickless's total budget. So the pot of money that goes in reciprocal borrowing was larger because the legislature gave more money to Mickless.
So is reciprocal borrowing, so part of that is, we have people that are taking materials from us that are from other libraries within the system. Isn't that how the reciprocal borrowing works? It's not just like, I have a pile of money and here's how much for you, so much for you, and it's got nothing to do with how much borrowing goes on. Or is it a rate?
It's a percent. So I want to say that the portion of Mickless's budget that goes to reciprocal borrowing is around 35%. That's their pot. So whatever their however much money they have, 35% of that is reciprocal borrowing. And they look at the percentages. So Franklin isn't rated on how many items we check out, but the percentage of usage by non-residents. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So if Greendale people are coming here and borrowing more from us, do they then owe into that pot? And if-
No,
No,
no.
so everybody always is all drawing from the pot based on a
There are
percent.
some libraries still, South Milwaukee, Milwaukee Public Libraries, that their residents are using other libraries more than their own, but they pay nothing. They get nothing, they pay nothing.
Oh, I thought sometimes you got more back and sometimes we didn't get as much back due to how much we borrowed. I thought,
Yeah, I thought it was a zero-sum game, where if we
Yeah.
got 59,000 from, last time we got 52, now we're getting 59, somebody out there is has a negative amount that they have to kick in to this thing, and that's not it.
No
We're all getting
municipalities.
something or nothing.
Or nothing, yeah.
Yeah.
All or nothing.
so how
Or
did,
some or nothing.
now does, and I know we touched on this a little bit last time, so just briefly remind me, Libby and stuff,
It doesn't count.
that's something totally different. Okay,
It's just physical materials.
okay.
Yeah. So it's the materials that are brought in through delivery and the materials, but the bulk of what we get are people actually coming here and checking out.
Okay.
It's not our residents putting holds on other library stuff.
Okay, so it really has nothing, okay. I'm almost more confused now than I was.
Oh,
Okay, but at least it's good to know it's really like the percent of stuff that goes on for us or other folks, you know, it's,
We need like a primer in this that we can all refer to.
nah, I don't think you'll know.
So Nick Bliss is like just because it comes from like the mama library,
Yeah.
essentially.
I mean, I get a chart every year that says Oak Creek residents took out this many items from Franklin. Franklin residents took out this many things from Oak Creek, you know, and it's like one of those charts. It's like all the libraries here, all the libraries here, and then it's,
Yeah, yeah.
oh my gosh, it can give you a headache.
But it doesn't really
But-
matter that like, because it's not Oak Creek to us. It's not like Oak Creek is paying us for how many library items,
Mm-hmm.
because it really just matters to McFliss in the middle, right? So
Right.
it doesn't matter how many people are borrowing from us directly. It's
So I
just-
guess to her point is that if nobody borrows from Oak Creek, they get nothing.
Okay.
So,
So you want people to borrow more from you?
It's the way you look at it. It's, to me, that's kind of, I don't like that. I mean, then it puts libraries in competition with one another.
Right.
And I
Well, it
don't
does damage
like
your
that.
books faster too, though.
Yeah.
but that might tell you, that might be a function of how each community funds their library too, because if you have libraries that are not getting funded appropriately so that they're not getting new materials to the level that they need to, and so as a result of that, people are going to other libraries, they're hurting themselves in the way that
Right,
they
because
budget.
their budget isn't gonna
Yeah,
buy new.
yeah, we want
materials.
everybody
It's
to benefit.
it's a way of making sure that each community keeps their libraries
Library
up.
going. Oh, that makes sense.
Because if they, you know,
Okay, all right.
Now, it would be, just as another aside, it would be kind of helpful if McFliss as a system would put something together relative to just general library budgeting. You know, the types of messages to communicate so that you get the resources that you need from your community in order to make it happen. You know, or we hire a consultant.
yeah.
And I don't know if that's something that'll come out of the strategic plan.
Yeah, they're in the middle of that, so who knows?
You know, but that, I'm gonna put that in the back of my head, that would be a good thing, is that, okay, like, if there are all sorts of things that come out of community conversations and things like that, and we know what the status of the building is and other stuff, okay, now, what's the magic wand in order to start to get the money to make that happen? Right? It's one thing for everybody in the community to say, yes, we love the library, but then it's show me the money. Right? And you don't want to, you want to paint it on the positive side. It's like, this is why you want to, we're doing good things, we want to continue to do good things, and the only way that we're going to continue to grow as a library, as it evolves and how it provides services to the community, is if we continue to have the people and the resources to make that stuff happen.
Yep.
True.
So, strong message here. Okay, I'll shut up.
So moving through this budget, let's get through the personal services, which are salaries, and then employee benefits, because those are all provided to us by the city. I think what we've got going in here, a 3% increase, is probably gonna be reasonable as a starting point. But we won't get numbers, if we're supposed to have this done in June, we won't have these numbers from
Yeah.
them yet. We
Right,
will?
we won't.
Yeah,
no.
so-
Those don't come in till later in the process.
So we have to have ours done, but we won't have the biggest chunk of dollars that we're spending.
Yeah.
Yeah, those didn't come in until like November or something.
They're put in right before the mayor's recommended budget's released.
Oh, were they that early?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, the other wild card here too is insurance costs. Now,
Yes.
is the city self-funding or are they working through an insurer?
They're self-funding.
That's why it went up so much last year.
But it was interesting in the
Yeah.
health insurance, where it went up quite a bit, and then the last 3 or 4 months of the year, it went way down. What were those reports that I gave you? You gave them the mic. That one with the paper clip right there? That one would have the report that we do, 2024, and then the rest of the year, 2023. 16, no good. Where, I don't remember insurance. The account number.
It is 5154.
511, 5154.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we started off, we were doing 7,067, and then November and December it dropped to 3,745 for those 2 months.
That's weird.
Well, I pointed out at that time, and we said maybe their self-funding is doing so well
Maybe
that
so.
that they just reduced the amount that they were taking from everybody.
Huh.
I'm thinking that would be it. Anyway, so being self-funded, it's kind of hard to say where it's going to actually shake out.
What are the plans for staffing for 2025?
I mean, we don't have any plans for any changes, additions. I think we're,
I thought you were gonna try to add at least a partial position, or is that in 2026?
I talked about Laura E. Emanuelson's position, because she's 32 hours of pay period. And if she were to leave, if that position became vacant, then I might look at making that like a part-time children's library assistant
Mm-hmm.
to help the children's, because they really need help.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the only possible change.
Can you make those types of changes without changing personnel?
You mean do it now? Or-
If you were to take somebody and say, okay, you are now a children's library assistant, because that's where we need the help.
I'd have to hire somebody,
Okay.
ideally somebody who would have more
So we're-
experience than like a library assistant.
So we're looking for, if attrition happens, what's the likelihood of that?
It could happen
But what's the likelihood? Yeah.
Percentage.
in the next couple of years.
No, for next year.
Next year? Probably 90%. No, it won't happen.
Okay,
I
well
mean,
then.
she's not talking about
See, this
leaving.
is, if we're gonna budget and you're saying to manage the library, we really could use some help with a part-time person, let's put it in the budget
Mm-hmm.
for the person.
I mean, she is doing all the outreach, or doing a lot of the outreach now, that used to take Sarah and Brittany out of the building, so that Sarah and Brittany can focus on the programs in the building.
And we talked about this too before, we would like to do more programming, and the programs fill up really quick, and I fear that we have then the community, if you get the wrong gong out there saying, the library isn't serving the community because, this one person, this one noisy person, or this small group now says, every time I want to get into a program, it's full.
Which,
Happens a lot.
yeah, people are complaining. Were complaining last summer already. But I mean,
I'll tell you what, let's bring that into the strategic planning thing, and then see what comes out of that. And if strategic planning says, yeah, going forward, maybe not next year, but the year after, you put it in there, because we're going to be doing a 5-year plan.
I've been asking Brittany and Sarah to hand out the community conversation cards to people in their story times, because we need to hear from them.
that's a good idea.
Of course, that can also appear on
We
the
haven't had
survey.
story times, just because we're in the
Yeah.
break, but yeah.
Yeah,
It'll.
that's what Brittany's like, I'm not having any, but they'll start up again.
Right. In a couple of And those people are gonna be here at the library all the time anyhow, so.
And, I'm gonna try to,
Okay,
okay, getting back to.
Yep.
then contractual services. Basically just adding 3%. Software maintenance was 0. We had 750 in there. I think that's the kind of thing that if something breaks down, that's where we have. But with most of this, where you're talking maintenance, something has to happen, or we have a maintenance contract.
Well, so we have, on the newest stuff that we have put in, like the security and all that stuff, now we have plans with that all throughout at least next year, right?
Sure, what you just asked.
Yeah.
As far as software maintenance, like all of,
Anything new that comes along, we pay, city pays, we each pay parts,
Right.
or is it
Yeah.
like,
because I think all of that came with certain maintenance plans, all the,
The security system?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the city picked up,
they're
they
handling
picked
that.
up at least the first couple of years.
Okay.
But down the road, it could come back to us. I probably should talk to Jim Metelsky and see.
And so it's not something we want to ever take out of there, but just.
And they'll be,
And what about the new systems for, like the checking out of the books and that kind of software? Is that something?
the self-checks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's planned for next year. Replacing all that.
So will that be more software maintenance that we will need?
Next year, 2025? Okay.
I mean, that particular equipment maintenance, 5242 is where that comes out of. So that's what we pay Biblioteca for the annual contract for maintaining the RFID pads and self-checks
Okay.
and gates. So that covers all that.
So you're saying that the numbers going up 3% is?
They have not raised the price on us in a long time, but I don't want to say,
That's scary.
And the security system isn't going to, we aren't gonna have to pick up that maintenance for 2 years, you said. Is that 2026 or 2027?
2026. And I could talk to Jim Metelsky.
So we should know what that is. Now, when we put together the budget for the city, are they interested in anything beyond 2025? Okay. So we just have to make our own notes
I mean,
here.
I did the capital
Yeah.
improvement plan. That gave them an idea of capital expenses. That's just like place, so that they can look ahead and as far as the city goes.
What other software do you guys use that would fall into there? Like, does the local hop or, that's not the one you went with?
Yeah, local hop is.
Oh, it
the
is
one we
local.
went with,
Like,
yeah.
does that fall into,
That would come out of Fund 16 because the meeting room payments go into Fund 16, so we pay for the
that makes sense?
meeting room stuff out of Fund 16.
Okay.
And local hop, about less than $1,000.
Oh,
Well, if we look at equipment maintenance, 5242, there only is one number in there for 2024, and that's in January, 7,293. Then there was nothing
That's
else.
yeah, that's when
That's
we pay
because-
Biblioteca.
And that's the only maintenance contract that we have running through there right now.
Right now, but we have the smart locker
oh yeah,
maintenance. That
that's
will be
another one.
$1,600 a year.
I forgot about that one, yeah.
Yeah, so that will go in there.
We've really done a lot of stuff in the last year, haven't you?
And that's in 2025, so if we say that the 77,293 is Biblioteca, and that remains relatively firm, yes?
Yeah,
Then we add 1,600 to it, and we're at 8,900.
Mm-hmm.
So our 9193 isn't,
it's not, it's a good number.
it's a decent number.
Yeah,
And
I would say it's appropriate.
yeah. Adding the security system in 2026, we're gonna have to see what that's
Yeah,
gonna be.
I'm gonna have to check with Jim on that one.
Okay.
and see.
Software maintenance, again, I think is if something breaks down. We don't have a maintenance guy. So we throw something in. Sundry contractors has been dust-free, which is 3,152. How long is that?
We don't have, we have
That's
the
right.
agreement with them, that's just, we pay $3,152 a month. There's no end date.
Is that our portion of what the whole city amount is?
Yeah,
Okay, so that might remain fixed. The only other sundry contractor that we were talking about putting in there was the strategic planning.
out of Fund 16 now.
Oh, that's out of Fund 16, okay.
For your, is this telephone correct? Now that you have a
No.
new telephone?
No, so telephone will go away.
Are we not down there yet?
No,
Sorry.
It's a pretty small number
It's,
anyway.
it is, it's not much, but it'll go away.
but, okay, now we're into the supplies area, postage, office supplies.
Yeah, that was something that kept coming up where, with programming and things like that, that we were hitting our total budget for the year number pretty early in the year, or a lot earlier than you would figure.
In Fund 16,
And, yeah,
Well,
because our programming
It's hard to
supplies comes out of Fund 16.
mhm.
And usually we're really good with office supplies and operating supplies in Fund 15, because we keep a spreadsheet, and when we order supplies, we
Okay,
put it in there, and we're like, Maureen, I don't think she's ever gone over.
well, then we won't worry about that.
Yeah,
okay.
where we have gone over is printing, and printing can get kind of bad, because, we're now making the flyers, the summer reading flyers for every,
School.
School.
Are they gonna let you hand them out again through?
I think Sarah and Brittany made them. They're taking them.
Oops, we accidentally did it again.
Well, let me ask this. What does the school district do? Are they having
Lie.
it to paper?
No, they do 100% online.
Well, then we should be too.
Oh,
Why should we be printing everything if the reason why they're
I
doing
think
it?
because they feel like taking something home to the parents.
You know,
the
I
kids
got
get
it.
excited. and
If I'm totally honest now, our new school they send a digital copy home and they send a paper copy home. I'm telling you, I put those paper copies up on my fridge and I see them then, and I do it.
But we do put, by the way, we do put it in the online.
And I.
Oh, that's not a problem.
And I
Yeah,
have-
there's no
But-
cost
but
for
we do
online.
print, right.
And
but
I
we
do
print
put the
them.
printed ones, the library flyers up on my fridge, and then I know, like, when the kids are like, what time is that, or whatever, like, I'm more likely to just look at the fridge than to pull it up. And I know that some people are really great about having everything digital, and that's the way that they run their lives, and that's great. But I do
yeah.
think that there's something about having the paper ones
I
that,
think they liked it because handing it to the kids and then the kids going home saying, Mom, look at all the great
they,
stuff going on.
yeah,
at
I
the
think they
library.
said they were
I
more
wanna go."
successful last year with that.
Mhm.
I know it's a big cost, but.
Well, the good thing is they've gotten the flyer down into much
It's
fewer
just one
pages.
piece,
They're
double-sided
very
print.
Have we, if we do a lot of that type of printing, have we checked to see if us doing it ourselves as opposed to having
Yeah.
somebody else do it would be
It's-
cheaper?
It's way cheaper for us to do it
Yeah,
in-house.
and the only time that they do one massive print like this is
Summer.
summer. The rest of the year, they just do in-house, like, smaller quantities.
Yeah, I called like the different print graphics and to find out how much they would charge.
And they're usually the
per-
cheapest around.
How much they would charge per page, and it was still more reasonable for us to do it ourselves. That was the year I got the like $2,400 bill after summer reading and had a heart attack.
You seem to have recovered nicely.
I did, yeah.
Thank goodness it wasn't
Okay.
last year.
Okay, but printing, we tend to go over slightly, over budget. Should we beef that up a little bit so we don't?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, why don't we add, if since telephone's going away,
Yeah.
why don't we take the telephone money and put it into printing? Then we haven't changed the total
Yeah.
budget much, but then, add
Might be just
$1,000
enough.
to the printing, that can help. Then at least it's showing up in the right spot.
You guys go line by line every meeting, or is
Nope.
this a special? Oh,
Special.
I just came for, I happened to catch the right one, huh? Or the wrong one.
Lucky you. So we're gonna take the
A very
953
special.
in 2025 budget for telephone and move that into printing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
Where is telephone really going to zero in
Yeah.
2025 and beyond?
Because it's all just internet.
That was just, that telephone bill was just for our 911 line.
Oh, that's what it
And we
was.
don't, now that
We
we've
don't
got
need
the
it.
new system, we don't need it.
Excellent.
That's how it
Now,
went.
what
Wait,
could throw a kink in it is if the city came and said you have to pay a portion of the telephone bill, the citywide, but they haven't done that yet.
They don't, well, they would, if they were doing it by department,
Which they, I mean, I don't think they're charging
I
health
mean,
department
how
for the
much can it
telephone.
possibly be? Like,
so, I mean,
I,
it's-
I had heard, I had heard anecdotally that our new phone system is less expensive than our old one. Our old one was more.
yeah,
So-
it can't be that expensive.
Okay, moving right along. Membership and dues, looks like that's gonna come out all right.
I was
And
gonna mention something
subscriptions?
on subscriptions.
What?
So Chicago Tribune, I mean, my print subscriptions are skyrocketing. So I kind of worry a little bit about that.
Didn't you get rid of a couple of them?
We got rid of USA Today, and we did go down quite a bit on magazines.
What are you hearing from patrons?
Nothing negative. One woman said she missed the USA Today. That's it. I consider that okay.
Yep.
You know, the USA Today was really nothing that. Gannett also owns the Journal Sentinel, so.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, I wonder if you can get some of those on Libby and stuff.
Magazines you can.
So I wonder if you
And-
really had some people complaining, you could say, here, would you like to go on the computer and read it?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we do have a list of all of our Libby magazines, so.
So you're still offering it. If they don't like it in
And
that,
Carrie
that's on
Carrie
them.
does weigh, when she looks at the magazine list, she did say, they could get, it doesn't search super well here, and the ones who do check it out can get it in Libby.
Yeah.
So we asked.
Yeah.
Okay, if we look at the budget for 2024, it's
384,
18,833.
or 18.
If I go to this report that has 2023, and every month we put 2024 in and see where we're at. We're at a pace to be under budget
In subscriptions.
in subscription.
But there are some that I haven't paid yet. Like I haven't paid the big EBSCO end of year EBSCO bill. That's all of our magazines out on the shelves,
Well,
which is around 5,000.
we had in October's 4,000. Where is it again? 4,697.
Yeah.
And in September, $3,400 in 2023. Now, unless those go up substantially, they're in there because we're picking up all the 2023 numbers and adding in, overwriting 2024.
My concern is just the Chicago Tribune has gotten so expensive.
Is that a monthly one?
It's every day.
No.
Monthly
Billing.
bill?
Yeah,
it's every 2 months.
every 2 months.
Yeah.
So
I think
through
she-
4
I think
months,
she
we
just
look like
means
we're going at a
overall.
pace below what our budget is.
Okay.
So it doesn't look like it's a problem at this
Well,
point.
there are things we can do with subscriptions to manage it. We can dump more
If you end up,
if we have to.
to keep
Right.
one, you could always dump another one if you have to.
Okay,
If we go through this line by line, we're gonna be here till
Yeah.
8 o'clock.
okay, moving right along. The allocated insurance costs, again, these are numbers given to us by the city, and mileage is virtually nothing. Equipment, rental, is there any reason that one wouldn't be right?
That's
Is
Fifty-four
that just your
thirty-three?
printers?
that's the staff copier, and that would remain static with this year because we've got the 5-year lease. So
So,
that one really doesn't have to go up.
so that should be like 2,900 across the board here.
Yeah. Because we've got the 5-year lease on it. So.
McFliss, we know it's down because they're covering more of the cost, but I threw it at
So-
30,000 because at this point, on our actuals, it looks like it's 26,000, but you said there's gonna be some other little things coming through.
Yeah, there'll still be some McFliss charges coming through
Okay.
for the rest of the quarter. It's hard. This year they picked up the cataloging costs, which is around 10,000,
Right.
which is why we had more. And it kind of sounds like they might continue doing that. I just won't know for sure until they give us the final budget numbers.
But the kicker is in 23, the budget was 37,851. 24, it looks like it's 42,673.
And
this-
drops to 30, yeah.
Yeah, and then I dropped it to 30 because we're down to 26,000 this year. So that's more than a $10,000 drop.
That might be 12. I'd have to look at
But-
the specific.
But we ought to be fine at 30.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If they pick up.
Okay. Water is kind of, water and sewer, I don't think that's gonna move up much, but so that should be okay. Electricity's kind of a wild card.
Mm-hmm.
6.9% last year, and I'm running at only 3% more on this budget.
I think that might work because the last couple of months, our electric bill has been pretty okay.
Okay. You're still
So it
gonna
seems
talk a
like
little
it's
about the meter.
slowed, the increases have slowed
Good.
down.
Yeah,
Okay.
they have said costs have been,
And natural gas has been really good.
Yeah, that's actually dumb. And the weather's been great.
Well, we did have a very mild.
knocking on all the wood we can.
Building maintenance systems, I don't know that these are annual. No. Looks like- Again, it's maintenance. So those kind of happen when things break down.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know because last year we had an awesome year in that your number, but you never know.
Exactly. Furniture and fixtures, this is where we're getting into the capital budget. Did you put something together?
I went, when I did my 5-year plan with the city,
Okay,
I did. I think that's in the packet. I don't know if you need that. It should be in the packet. So, okay.
I got it.
You got it? Okay. Do you need one, Joyce?
Is it in the packet online or no?
Well, my packet ended up a little weird.
Oh, okay, I'll take it.
I don't know. This packet that you handed to us? It's not.
It's in,
Oh, you print front to back.
yeah, I do. Should be in there. Oh, no, it's not in there.
Oh, I got the lucky one, okay.
So I did.
Well, so you're already creating fund balance contributions to these different things.
I'm trying to make,
That's fair.
Oh, so are these,
these are the capital improvement requests I put in with the city. There's nothing set in stone, those things can change.
and
but
this
they
doesn't
just
have anything to
wanna-
do with GE, this is just like what you know we're gonna be needing?
Yeah,
26, we're gonna be needing 55,000 in furniture.
yeah, because I put in there meeting room chairs.
How much of this is in Fund 15 and how much is in Fund 16?
Well, I had 55,000 in total, but the fund balance portion would be 50,000. So the majority of it would be coming out of
Out of what?
fund balance,
So we wouldn't be budgeting it here.
right?
Okay.
Well, no, you still,
5,000.
5,000 would be
We would
budgeted.
still budget
We'd
it.
still budget it, but
It-
some of it would come out of fund
Yeah.
balance.
That was my original question. You just go ahead and put it in the budget so you can identify it in its proper accounting place, and then we'll end up paying for it out of the fund balance
So
to
in
cover that.
2025, we have 10,000 in computers, 5,000 coming out of fund balance, 10,000 in furniture, 5,000 coming out of fund balance. So in 2025, we actually have $10,000
What
in,
was that?
in
The
equipment.
spread between Fund 15 and Fund 16.
Now, is that because you're supposed to have it paid down by a certain point? No? Okay.
I think it's just to cover the fact that we have all this stuff budgeted and the revenues aren't gonna cover it, so
Okay.
we wanna do it, so it'll.
Do we
it'll
have a,
come
s- I know in other groups that have been in, they've had certain dates where you had to have your fund balance paid down to certain amounts by a certain date. We don't have that rule.
No,
Okay.
but when it got really high a couple years ago, they did say, okay, we're not gonna give you as much of we're not gonna give you much of an increase, you'll have to use fund balance
Okay.
for it, because it was pretty high, it was like 700,000.
We can't go below 100, and we were nowhere near that.
Okay.
Okay, so in the budget that we have here, under computers, we have, in Fund 15, we have $10,000. That's actually going to be 5,000
Net, right,
net.
of the budget.
Yes, and furniture and fixtures, we have 10,000. Well, 10,000, and the net is gonna be 5,000, which we have there in Fund 15. But Fund 16 also has furniture of $5,000.
Yeah,
That's what makes up the 10. Because on this sheet, she has Fund 15/16 as a total without any delineation as to
But we have
which
two,
fund balance.
we have 10,000 in computers, but fund balance is 5, so we're only budgeting 5. 10,000 in furniture, but fund balance is picking up 5, so we're only budgeting 5. That's a grand total of $10,000 in equipment through Fund 15 and 16. And right now, 15 has 10,000 in computers and 5,000 in furniture. So if I knocked the 10 out of computers and knocked that down to 5, I've covered the 10. We don't need 5,000 in Fund 16 at all, unless in furniture, unless you want it in 16 and not 15.
In what year are you talking?
2025.
Oh,
I mean, it's up to you where you want the 10,000 to come from. I split it up in with furniture and fixtures. It doesn't matter. Fund balance is going to cover it, whether that's Fund 15 fund balance or Fund 16 fund balance.
Okay, it's just that right now, we have 15,000 in here.
Total, 15,000 total.
15, but we're saying the budget should only be 10, 5 and 5. That's what I'm just trying to figure out.
And that's furniture.
Furniture and computers combined.
Yeah, furniture and computers in Fund 16 is 5. And then in Fund 15, the combined is 15, so you got a total of 20 budgeted.
Yeah,
And we're taking five out of the fund balance for computers. And so the computers, 10 grand, and the furniture, 10 grand, adds to 20 on the 2025 sheet here.
right.
And if you add those items out of 15 and 16 in the budget, it comes to 20 there as well. Because you got 5 for furniture and fixtures, you don't have anything for a computer in Fund 16. Right?
Right.
Just the 10,000 in Fund 15, right?
Right, which is, that, problem is, we've got a total of 10,000 in furniture, and we're only supposed to have 5. And computers, we have 5,000 that we should have, and we had 10 and 15. So I was gonna take that 10 and knock it down to 5, but I still have 10,000 in furniture.
Like, because we want 10,000 in computers and 10,000 in furniture.
Yes, but because this is being paid for out of fund balance, we're not budgeting it.
We still have to budget the 10,000, so I can spend it. So it's budgeted. It's just 5,000 of that would be coming out of fund
Oh,
balance.
I thought I understood that we wouldn't budget it. Okay, then, in fact,
It has to
we're
be
good.
budgeted or I can't spend it.
We're good, then we
Yeah.
have 10 in computers, 10 in,
Yeah, and that's, yeah.
Yeah.
okay, I'm back with the living.
Well, I apologize, I might have muddied the water in the beginning to begin anyway, so.
That's quite all right. Okay, then that completes Fund 15. 16 in the past, we haven't even gone over it as a committee, but I put something together this year anyway. To get taxable sales, assuming we're gonna be up 3% and across the board here with those kind of numbers. And I think the revenue is gonna be all right. Sundry contractors, we had 8,000 in Fund 16 and 5299. But I don't know that we have the strategic planning consultant in there.
I have Fund 16 in my packet.
I don't know if that's helpful to you.
You don't have 16?
So now I just got,
Oh, just the questions, okay, I got it.
yeah,
Yeah, he's right.
I look at yours.
For those in the packet.
Yeah, I will say one thing, I think fines are could potentially be way down. So easy for everybody to renew their items that our fine revenue is gonna be way down, I believe.
Okay.
So can you put a percentage on way down?
You know, I'd probably drop that to 10. Is it now?
18,540.
I'll drop it to 12,000. I mean, it might be more. It's just, we've seen,
Probably you don't want to count on.
yeah, I'm not sure how much we can count on the fine revenue.
Okay.
Remember how upset the mayor got
and-
when he thought that we might talk about,
Going fine free.
yeah.
Okay, is that the only one that you saw as potentially a problem?
You know, the miscellaneous revenue all depends on what kind of monies the foundation gives us next year.
So that's always a wild card.
What about,
But we
let-
have to really, you
Well, let's not
know,
worry about it then.
what about conferences in schools? Because I know your staff was pretty excited to be going to some of the conferences,
Yeah, I
and
know
you
it. We
wanted
didn't have
to,
that budgeted at all.
and you wanted to make sure that you were rotating people, so just that we keep that in there. It's a good morale booster for staff, and I always
Well, I
worry
think it
that
adds
we're-
value too. I
Well, it
mean,
does
most
to
of the
their
time when you go to
education.
those things, besides the stuff you get out of it, oftentimes there's
2,000,
connections that you make with
Decent.
folks that you didn't anticipate, right?
Right. Well, and they implemented the things that they learned right away too. And it's, I don't want to burn our staff out, and I think it's extra like boost to, it's just good all over.
Right.
if you go to a national conference, which are the ones that tend to be a little meatier, I call them meatier.
Yeah.
They've got more, those, that can be expensive when you count airfare, the cost of
Yeah.
the conference.
So we've got regional conferences for math teachers, and then we've got a national conference. We're going to go to the national conference because it happens to be in Chicago in the fall. But otherwise, we would go to a regional. Do they have regional conferences or state conferences for library? That's of
WLA.
value.
Yeah, well, we go to a lot of us go to WLA every year,
Okay.
the statewide.
Mhm.
But it's just, there's so much more at a national conference.
So what have you been going? That was the national one that
was that
Brittany and Carrie
Live, Learn,
went.
X. Now, we got a grant for that.
Right.
And it's possible there could be grants in the future, and we do try to take advantage of them as we can.
So otherwise, what
good.
what do we think is possible to send somebody every other year, every
Yeah.
3 years, every other year?
I'd say every other year.
So was that last year or the year before already that they went?
That was
the
the
year before,
beginning of
wasn't it?
2023.
2023, so they would be due to go in the beginning of 2025.
Now, when you
Okay.
say there's grants available, who applies for those?
I think Carrie, right?
Carrie and Brittany did to go to Live, Learn, X.
Mm-hmm.
And it's through SUI, the Libraries of Southeastern Wisconsin.
Okay.
Sui.
SUI, I know, SE.
If you're from the
Southeastern-
University of Arkansas, then that's your
Yeah.
chair.
Okay.
So we don't have to make any changes to conferences.
Does that cover
Unless you wanted
the
to
regional
up it.
one?
That would not cover a national conference.
Does
You
that-
know, you probably wanna do
25?
3,000.
3,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that would be assuming too that there'd be some grant monies available.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Help us out.
3,000 for two people that would be
Yeah.
a good deal, man.
It sure would.
Then moving down to the other one that I saw was library materials, where we're always under budgeting here, so I
I-
kicked
you
that
know-
up to 16.5.
I hate to go back to this, but what if there is not a grant available? Do we want to not let them go? Or do we want to just be able to send two employees? to
Maybe
be
at
able
that
to
point,
go?
if there's not a grant available, I come back to the library board and say,
And
there's no
say,
grants
okay.
available, we need to amend that
Okay.
area of the budget.
Fair,
And do what, raise it to 4,000?
Whatever the
whatever the
cost
cost
would
is
be.
at that time,
Okay.
fair.
Anybody have any problems with library materials going up to 16.5?
No, everything's costing more.
'Cause-
Gotta go up.
In 2023, the actual was 16,067, so budgeting 11.3 in 2024 just ain't gonna cut it.
Oh,
So I think we gotta take it up to 16.5.
yeah,
And
because they just kept coming back asking for more money anyway, so that would,
Well, part of that was we were doing the foreign language collection.
well, that and all the Libby books, but actually, or
Those were all-
those were all from Foundation, weren't
Yeah,
they?
I think the foundation has covered almost all of those read alouds.
And then, yeah, so that didn't even cover that
Yeah.
stuff.
if we look at the financials with the 2023 and then overlaying the 2024, we're on pace to hit 18,272 for this account that I took up to 16.5.
But they'll slow down. I mean, some of, yeah.
They'll slow down, but that's all taken into consideration because I've got 2023 laid out there.
And that's not even all those
And-
extra books because that are funded through the other stuff.
Well,
So-
the foundation gave us 9,300.
Right.
And we haven't even spent any of that yet.
Well,
So we'll start
Is-
spending
Is
that.
that for library material?
But those are all gonna
Oh,
be the
okay.
box books pretty much, right?
No.
No, it's not? Okay.
The box books were separate.
Oh, okay.
So 16.5 might be okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And then volunteer recognition, you know, we upped it to 3% again.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
We just work within, with what we've got.
We have been doing more, well, that's probably not volunteer recognition, but you have been doing more of like the night outs and more of that stuff. Do you have enough wherever that should go?
That comes out of Fund 16 programming. So that would be the office, what we call, is that 16? Office
Yeah.
supplies, 5312.
And we had,
We upped it.
I took that one and erased it also because
Okay.
We're
was
always,
13,795, we had a budget of 11 and I took it to 14.
the more
Okay.
people we have show up to these things, or the
Well,
more
the more you have to
people-
buy.
I mean, Sarah and Brittany are extremely
Oh, yeah.
frugal. They shop for value,
Yes.
you know.
Yep, I don't
But
doubt it all.
They do. They're like pricing out things
Mm-hmm.
online.
Do we have to start walking around the library looking for leaks?
Those thoughts were going through my head.
There was one in the middle of the adult right out here. We had a couple of buckets out last week.
Oh man, did it pour hard and fast.
It was
So
bad.
That is not surprising.
That was the only one though, out of the whole building. I was pretty happy.
We did not go through the capital budget in depth for all 5 years, but we did make changes. And I will update the capital
Yeah.
for these outlying years beyond 2025, make all the changes that we talked about here, and I'll get this out to everybody again.
Yeah, and then when we meet again, maybe you and I can meet before we meet again and go over it.
All the mistakes I've made that we can correct.
No, just to make sure we didn't miss anything.
Okay.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay,
We are adjourned.
5:13.
That
Right
was
on
not
time,
bad.
chief.
Thank